don't need the snow. One thing that we want to talk about, though, is President Trump tweeting this morning about the cost of his controversial border wall. I am reading that the Great Border Wall will cost more than the government originally thought, but I have not gotten involved in the design or negotiations yet. When I do, just like with the F-35 fighter jet or the Air Force One program, price will come way down. Now, this comes as the administration considers its next move after the Ninth Circuit Court upheld the restraining order against the president's travel ban executive order. Mr. Trump calling the legal system broken. But exactly what legal options does the administration have? Well, David Schwartz is a defense attorney and former prosecutor, and Francisco Hernandez is an immigration attorney. They both join me now to weigh on this.
Hi, how are you?
Good to talk to both of you, and good to see you this afternoon, gentlemen. So let's talk about this. What are the legal options that lie ahead for Mr. President Donald Trump? We'll start with you, Francisco.
Mr. Schwartz, would you like?
Francisco, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, quite frankly, the whole issue is going to be moot as soon as the 120 days expire. So he got what he wanted. He got the political splash. That's all that matters. And it was clearly unconstitutional, but does it really matter? If it went to the Supreme Court, it would take 4 or 5 years to climb up that ladder. So he got what he wanted. So let's move on to immigration reform.
So, David, weigh in on for me, please.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. Number one, I think the ban was clearly constitutional. Clearly, the United States Code gives the president the right to temporarily ban any class of individuals. Now, he banned 7 countries. It's only 12% of the Muslim population worldwide. So clearly this wasn't a Muslim ban, as that would be unconstitutional under the First Amendment. But clearly this is not a First Amendment issue, so it is constitutional.
It's a national origin issue.
And I think that the Supreme Court would clearly find it constitutional. And it wouldn't take 5 years.
Francisco, you were saying it's a national origin issue. What did you mean by that?
National origin is a suspect class, but quite frankly, let's punt it up to the Supreme, see if he'll take it. But we know they won't. And it's moot. It's over in 120 days. He could rewrite the executive order tomorrow, and we'd start all over again. Let's move to the important part. How's he going to pay for the wall?
The operative word here is, of course, as you mentioned,
we're going to have to legalize 100,000 Mexicans to build it.
I understand that.
Cheap.
Well, we're talking about the constitutionality of this ban.
Exactly.
So the bottom line is national origin doesn't play a role in this at all. It's 7 countries that have no control over their entire vetting systems. That's why those 7 countries were chosen. Obama chose those 7 countries also. And in fact, the same exact ban took place under Jimmy Carter, under George Bush 43, and under President Obama. And no one made a big deal when those presidents did it. So,
but Mr. Schwartz, I will agree that you are, in fact, a constitutional scholar. You are recognizing that, and I respect that. Oh. But the effect of the executive order, you know that it doesn't have to be named as race or religion, but the effect of it is the same. So it is based on that.
Right.
And we can argue till kingdom come.
And when you look at the effect, it's 88% of the Muslims worldwide are not affected.
Francisco, time out. Let me jump in here for a moment. Francisco, hold on one moment. Let's bring up a graph to show you exactly what the options appear to be for President Trump. We're looking at it right now. As we look at this graph, he can file an emergency application with SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States. He can petition the Supreme Court of the United States for certiorari, which of course is before judgment, and file an emergency application seeking a stay of the plan that he has. He can allow the case to play out in the lower district court in Seattle and petition for review by the full Ninth Circuit. What do you say are his best options, Dave?
Well, I do think he's going to, first of all, he's going to put out another executive order. And I think that would be the best option. But out of those options, I would petition to the Supreme Court as soon as the 9th judge is put on the Supreme Court.
And Francisco.
How about he just does executive order to change the vetting procedures to more closely see these immigrants for terrorist ties or terrorist tendencies? Then you solve the problem and you don't waste the judiciary's time.
Yeah, I think he may do both.
You think he may do both? Well,
yes.
Next week he's promising to do some things, and we don't know what that will be. But knowing Mr. Trump, he will be able to file some sort of executive order to move forward with this ban. What do you think his options are legally?
Well, I will certainly legally, I think you laid out all the options, Kelly, and I do believe he would petition right to the Supreme Court, try to get it out of the Ninth Circuit, try to get it out of the lower court. In fact, the lower court didn't even have standing to bring this. The Attorney General of Washington State didn't have standing to bring this case in the first place.
Well, Dave, let me ask you
that
something.
wasn't even argued in the lower court.
Francisco,
But
before
Mr.
you,
Schwartz,
before you
you know
rebut
that all they're doing is maintaining status quo. They're not addressing the more significant substantive issues. It's just maintaining status quo. It wasn't even a commentary on the merits, the decision. And you're right, the Fifth Circuit would likely go completely polar opposite way.
I tell you,
but we're
both of
wasting
you,
time.
Both of you show how heated this debate is and why we see demonstrations in the streets. And we can go to live shots right now of what's unfolding. People are still demonstrating this travel ban against it as we look at the live situation taking place there. But Dave, let me ask you something. You used to represent or worked with Mr. Trump prior to him becoming president of the United States. You worked with him on legal matters. Didn't you discuss at any time what he possibly had to face in terms of immigration?
I will never discuss anything that I've ever discussed with Mr. Trump. Certainly, that was any issues I handled for him were prior to him becoming president. But the bottom line is I am speaking not from a political standpoint here. I'm speaking solely from a legal standpoint. And clearly, I think it's as clear as day that this ban under the laws of the United States is constitutional. Whether or not it was politically correct is another story.
Political issue.
All right, Francisco, final word.
I'm dealing with a legal
Francisco,
issue.
final word, and we got to cut it, gentlemen.
Let's get to what matters. Let's get Congress to act on immigration reform. We've been waiting 17 years. Give him a chance to succeed. Give him a chance to fail.
David Schwartz.
I agree.
Francisco Hernandez. Finally ending on agreement.
Yes, we agree.
Thank you, gentlemen. There is a common ground after all.
Mr. Schwartz is a
Thank
great
you.
lawyer.
All
Take
right.
care. Thank you.
All right. Julie.